I still don't see how this is medium sized.
It really is, I swear. This is a medium-sized base. It's small. Welcome to episode 15 of Crowns of Fire, where as you can see behind me, we're beginning work on our giant Dwarven city build.
And you call me a madman. No one has 6 double chests of stone and says nothing is that big.
It's not that big. So, after about a day of work, I've mined out everything in this section. The whole thing is just gone now. And we are able to actually start the construction of the giant Dwarven city. Wow, this is bigger from the air. This entire area here is just going to be for the entrance of the Dwarven city. So we're going to build some artificial cliff faces. We're going to build this really cool arching thing with a whole bunch of pillars holding it up. And it's going to look really neat. And then inside is going to be the actual Dwarven city, and it's going to be a really cool look. This right here is kind of the design for the pillars we're going to be going for. I'm going to change it up a little bit, give it a bit more texturing, some moss in here, some different kinds of copper blocks in here, just to change it up a bit, give it a bit more color, add a bit more shading and chaos to it to make it look better. But I'm going to get straight into that, and we'll come back with an update here in just a moment. Alright, so I got the locations and size figured out for the towers. Now, these middle two are actually going to be quite a lot taller than this outer one because of the roof we're going to be adding, which is going to be this really cool arch. And then we'll have sort of like cliffs falling down onto this arch, and it's going to look really cool. The cliffs are also going to kind of come up into the build a little bit over here in the back corners. Not too much, just a little. And we're going to add a whole bunch of detailing onto these in the roof and make it look really Dwarven. We have now put in a very crude area of the roof. We have a lot more to do with the detailing. I'm just trying to get everything down and buildable, so I know what I need to add, what I need to remove, and what I need to change. Right now, everything's coming together even better than I expected. The pillars look amazing. The roof's angle is amazing. The archway just looks really cool. I get it's really shallow roof, but that's kind of what I'm going for. And once we have the other side on, it's going to look really cool. Once we finish that, we're actually going to add a small rim area with like certain sections being broken off using tough bricks, which is just going to look really cool with our color palette. We're taking in deep slate, we're taking in stone, and then we'll bring in the tough to kind of tie them both together. We're taking stone, we're taking deep slate, and then we're going to bring in tough to kind of tie them all together, and it's just going to look really good, especially since we're going for a more Dwarven style. And then you have the copper, which is a really hard contrast against everything else, which will make the build just feel more alive. And then for the floor, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do yet. I'm thinking maybe a more gold and blackstone touch, maybe. It might look good. We'll just have to see. We're going to get to work on the rest of the roof and these little pillars here, and getting everything fully detailed up for the entrance, and then we'll get to work on the cliffside and the floor. So, whilst working on the roof of this building, I realized I could give a quick little tutorial on a way to add a bit more depth and just make your build feel more alive. So here, I've added in some ribbing just to kind of break up the entirety of the build. It just makes it look a little bit more thick, whereas before it looked paper thin. And if you really want to make your build feel alive, add in little random splotches of another darker, brighter color, depends on what you're building. But these little bits of color may not look like much from up close, but if we fly up above this build and look down, you can easily see massive difference between this side, and just the amount that it changes how good your build looks overall. With the roof of this building done, we are going to go ahead and start working on the natural cliffside that is built directly on top of it and kind of into the sides of it a little bit in certain parts. Alright, so accidentally built a whole bunch off camera, forgetting to record, so yeah, that happened. But I've made a ton of progress on the build. Not only did we fully finish the cliffside and blend it into the natural terrain quite well, you can't really tell other than the fact it's just a flat grassland. Other than that, it looks really natural. And on the inside, we finished up fully the pillars. I was going to texture these up a bit and make them look a little nicer, but they kind of work just the way they are without texturing, and the ribbing on them looks really neat, almost like it's holding it together. So once we get some lighting effects in here, I think this will be pretty much finished up, and we can get to work on the interior, as well as we needed the floor, but that won't take but like 30 minutes. Now, the interior of this is going to be insane. It's going to be really cool looking. I'm using some really neat new color mixtures that I haven't quite seen done before, and that is going to be really, really exciting. So, we're going to get right into finishing this project so we can work on the interior. Now that we have the floor fully in and most of the terraforming done, the door is pretty much complete. The entrance to the Dwarven city is almost ready. We just have one final step. This step is going to be blending the front area to natural terraforming, which is going to take quite a considerable amount of time, but when it's done, it's going to look absolutely beautiful. We already started over here, giving it a nice look. And we've finished the terraforming job, and I must say it looks way better than I first expected. And I'm really proud of what I've got here. It took me like 30 minutes, like way faster than I expected. I thought this was going to take 2 hours, so that's a relief. Now, the only thing that's left is to add a little pattern to the floor, which is going to look really cool, and to build this back wall, where there's going to be the actual entrance into the Dwarven city, where we are going to build so much cool stuff, and I'm really excited to get this going. So, we're going to put in the floor real quick, and then we can get straight into that. And with that pattern in, we can officially begin work on the interior and building up all the farms. But for that, it's going to take a lot of digging, like probably hours worth of digging. And so I dug, and continued to dig, and then dug some more. And now we have this entire area dug out and shaped correctly, as well as we've removed any block that isn't stone. Now we're going to add in a few small details to the regular area and then building proper structures inside. Alright, so now we've finished detailing this room for the most part. There's still a few small things I want to do, but there's one big thing in particular. I want to add a giant amethyst crystal hanging from the ceiling in the center of the room to give it a more dwarven magical feel, so we're going to get straight into that and finish it, and then we'll get on to the farms and redstone contraptions. After quite a bit of working on this and testing it, I do have a farm design here that kind of works. So you feed this guy seeds, and then his inventory is full, and he can't put any wheat into the system, and then this allay is the only thing that can collect wheat, which is deposited over there. But this guy somehow keeps getting wheat into his inventory, and it's driving me nuts. So we're going to go with a much different design that's actually probably simpler and a lot more efficient. I'm genuinely not sure what's going on here. They're just infinitely throwing things to each other. That's weird. After 3 different farm designs, I've finally come up with something simple enough that it actually functions. I don't know what was going on with the previous 2 farms. They worked in creative, just not here. This one's super simple, but it's also the slowest of my 3 farm designs. This one essentially just picks up everything from the ground that they drop and filters out the seeds and gives it back. That's literally all it does. Super simple, super easy, but it functions. So we're leaving it. And we're going to build one more off to the side here so that we get twice the functionality, but still, not the fastest farm. After many hours of work, we got this room finished. We got a wheat farm slowly trickling out. We got a pumpkin and melon farm with a super simple design. It's really useful. Again, from the start of the season, it was kind of similar. You just observe the stalks, and when the stalks grow, we can activate the pistons. But for this one, we went with a slightly different design. It only activates the 2 pistons directly next to it, instead of all the pistons, so that we're not creating as much lag, and so that the system just runs a little bit smoother and you're not interrupting the growth cycles of anything. And we also have this villager breeder here, which as you can see is already working really well. We just come through this door, go up here. Yes, I know this is ugly. It's not supposed to be seen by anybody but me, but it's going on camera now. We come in here and we feed these guys bread, and then the baby villagers can fall through that gap, but the adult villagers cannot. So they just are constantly letting out a flow of baby villagers, which fall over here out of range of those beds, and then come into here, where we have a whole bunch of them just backlogging up. They just slowly start coming in as they move around, and as you can see, we already have a lot of villagers. These are actually going to be used in our villager trading hall this way, which is going to be extremely handy for getting large amounts of supplies. We just come in here, and then we're missing 2 villagers somehow. That's... oh! Why are they over in the corner? But we have these 2 guys in here. We're going to stick them in mine carts, and then stick them in these little holes here. Now, the reason you see pistons and levers is that we can flip this lever, and the piston will go down. And then the zombie that's back there will come over and start hitting them, turning them into a zombie villager. Then we can flick the lever back up, and we can cure those villagers and make better trades. And we can do that on demand. So if we have a villager that's prices are too high, we just flick the lever, send them down, flick the lever back up, and cure them. The villager trading hall is now done and decorated. We've actually done a full interior for this as well. And we have pretty much every trade you're going to need for the basic necessities. We got mending, unbreaking, efficiency, pretty much everything. We also have some for the armor trades and every single pickaxe trade. We have left a few extra slots here just so that we can fill them up if we need some different enchantments or just some extra villagers. We have a bunch of iron guys here fully cured so we can trade iron with them for emeralds. As well as we have a bunch of farmer villagers over here for extra emeralds and XP. This way we can fully fuel this place. I've also fully dug out and decorated this area here. It's very crude looking, but it gives off the desired effect I was going for, which is kind of like an old Viking hall of some sort. Needs a little bit more decorating later on, but that's something we'll get to later. For now, we are going to finish up the entrance hallway and fill up this place with all of its shop items. We've finally finished. Every single detail is in place, everything is ready, and now it's time for the final walkthrough of this build. The first thing you'll notice is we've added all these floating candles, and this is for 2 reasons. Number 1, it makes it look really mystical and magical in here, almost like something supernatural is going on. And second, these pillars and this wall have been changed. This is to just make the entrance look a bit better and give it a bit more detail, which it really does. In here, we've done the same thing with the floating candles, but we've added in tough bricks instead of stone or deep slate like we've done for the rest. We've also added in dark oak logs because they look really good in this area and smooth them off with some stairs and slabs. These are meant to be support beams that just hold up the building, because the more realistic you can make your build, the better it's going to look. We also have this as a secondary light source to the candles, because you can see in here, they're a lot thinner than they are out here. This is on purpose, because we want to seem a little less crowded in this hallway space, which is why we actually have these here, just to make it where this area doesn't spawn any mobs. Everything is over 0 light level, so nothing will spawn. Inside, we have the giant crystal room with the big crystal above, and below down here, everything is fully finished in this room and just looks really cool. I'm really excited about it. In this way, we have the farm area, not too decorated because I'm the only player going to be coming in here really. Got all of our stuff ready. Of course, the trading hall area with all of our villagers and copper decoration in here, which varies from everything else quite a bit. And then the shop area, which we've changed up a little bit. The walls look mostly the same because they're pretty filled up with these, as well as now we have items inside, so they look a lot less empty. We still have a lot more space to fill, but so far so good. Some lanterns to give it a natural lighting effect, so there's not just torch spam everywhere. And on the back sides, we've added these strange patterns in deep slate tile walls. There's one more very exciting bit of news about this episode. We have finally added the last member of the season, Bulba Games, and we're super excited to have him here, and you'll be seeing a lot more of him in future episodes. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.